Hello, welcome to my live stream. Wow, I've got the noise canceling earbuds in and my voice sounds weird. Anyways, I gotta warn you guys that I think a smoke detector in my house is, yeah, there it goes. It's beeping every once in a while. We're gonna fix that after this, but I couldn't find time today to get that taken care of. So we'll get it taken care of. Hopefully it's not too irritating. It's been slow, but these things accelerate. I just got back from San Diego. That's where I was, San Diego, and helping Dave Feldman with a project. Hey, Amy, I'm also in California, but I am very lucky that I am in a little pocket of smoke-free land, or mostly smoke-free. So I'm sorry, don't be jealous. Well, you can be jealous, but I lucked out here given the wind currents. So yeah, although we're a little concerned, we have a family place up in Tahoe, and Tahoe has begun to be a little threatened. So that's scary for everybody, but obviously a lot more so for the people who primarily live there and have nowhere to live if said issue happens. So scary, scary, scary fires going on. Oh, thanks, Nancy. I appreciate that. San Diego was very, very fun. It's really funny in San Diego. So in the Bay Area where I live, we get a lot of fog. And so I looked out my window in San Diego and I saw the fog and I thought, oh, it'll be cool out for my walk. No, you have warm fog there. We have cold fog. Different. Um, Nancy, it's in Tahoe City, so not South Shore. South Shore is the shore that has been being evacuated, but still, it's a pretty small place. So sad to see all of these fires. It's just scary out there. There's only so much fighting against the environment that you can do, and with the fires, it's scary. I don't know. There's not much good to say about it, is there? It is scary. So anyway, does anyone want to talk about anything keto related? I can share. I was with Dave Feldman. We were in San Diego to talk about Own Your Labs, ownyourlabs.com, ownyourlabs.com. And it's a direct to consumer way to get your bloods tested. And then, yeah, so if you want to order your own blood test, you can do it through ownyourlabs.com. The Digging Deeper bundle, I'll give it away for a few more days. The code LC, low carb, LCSD, low carb San Diego, 10 will give you an extra discount off of the Digging Deeper bundle if you want that one. It's a good one. It's a good bundle. Hey, Madison, glad to have you here. And again, I'm sorry. I hope the beeping doesn't get irritating to people. So let us get into it. What is going on? I'm going to share with you, and this is not a dig at anyone. I just want to be clear. This is not a dig at anyone. Sometimes the way I can communicate a thought can sound like a dig, and it's just my nature. I don't want to say anything like that. Yes, please send rain, Teresa. We have none here. When I was at Low Carb San Diego, one night I was talking with somebody, and I mentioned I was with a group of people, and we'd all kind of mentioned our experience with those of us that had it with wearing CGMs, continuous glucose monitors. And I mentioned, what a lot of us on keto learn. Wearing a CGM is the least interesting thing we do is eat, and in fact, doing things like taking a hot shower or exercising raises our blood sugar more than our food does. And this person was with this group of people talking about CGMs, and it was just a funny little haha, and everyone was like nodding, yeah, that's what happened to me too. And this woman was very upset. She said, oh my gosh, so I'm getting my insulin is going up from taking a hot shower or exercising. That's very scary to me. She was scared, right? And I said, no. I think people it was like a situation where I'm like, oh gosh, I think some keto teachers, I was like, teachers? No, keto teachers give people just enough information to freak them out and not enough information to actually educate them. So I'm going to try and make it my mission to make sure that doesn't happen to people. So do you guys know that there are many reasons that your blood sugar can go up that are not about food? And not all of these are going to mean that you're going to have a significant insulin response, right? Sorry, guys, I've been yawning all day. It's not that I'm bored or tired. I think it's the travel. Anyway, so if I exercise, right, my blood sugar is going to, well, depending on how hard I exercise, but if I exercise, my blood sugar is going to go up. Does that mean that that's going to cause my insulin to go up too? Pop quiz. Pop quiz, people. No, the answer is no. So here's what we got. So our body is always trying to, I want to say this. Well, okay, let me back up. Does that mean my insulin is going to go up in a bad way? No. Okay, just a second. Insulin's always, insulin isn't like at 0 all day long. It's in a flux, right? So let's talk about okay, let's take food out of the equation, right? So fasted state, no eating for a day, right? So food's not part of the discussion. My blood sugar is not going to be at 0, right? We have processes within our body that are going to help us maintain the appropriate level of blood sugar. Our body wants to be in sort of a homeostasis, right? It wants to be in this balance. And so what have we got in our liver? In our pancreas. What organ am I talking about? In our pancreas, there's alpha cells and beta cells. There's insulin producing and there's glucagon producing cells, right? So inside of our pancreas, we've got the glucagon. And so the glucagon tells our body to release sugar, right? And that insulin tells our body to retain sugar, right? So what is generally happening in a fasted state is we have sort of we have something happening where our body's always trying to maintain enough blood sugar. So generally speaking, when we're in a fasted state, when we're along in a fasted state, glucagon tends to be primarily what's happening. We're producing more glucagon. It's telling our body to enter into more of a catabolic state. That's the state of breakdown. It allows us to liberate body fat for fuel. It allows our liver to engage in gluconeogenesis, which we need in a fasted state or even in a keto state. We need that gluconeogenesis. So this is signaling, release more sugar. We need more sugar. So that glucagon is in charge and it's saying sugar, sugar, sugar. Good, good, good. Right? That glucagon is going to go up. Now, when insulin starts to come up, what that's doing is it's going to mediate that glucagon, right? So insulin comes up and that glucagon goes down. So insulin has dominance. So insulin goes up, glucagon goes down. Because you don't want insulin and glucagon both up, you're going to get into problems. So insulin comes up, it tells the glucagon to go down. Now we're in more fat storage mode. We're now in less, so we're no longer, it shuts down gluconeogenesis. We're not releasing more liver. We're not producing more sugar in the liver. We never release liver. And so it's a balance to keep our blood sugar in check. And so when you do something that your body interprets to mean that you're being chased by lions, it's going to do things that are going to elevate the things that cause sort of blood sugar to go up. What is that doing? Well, you're not eating anything, right? So it's not coming in from there. It's coming from your liver, right? So it's telling the liver to release more glucose. So your glucose goes up. It seems like we need more sugar in our system. It's going to produce that. It's going to give us instant energy fuel, right? So the fact that exercise raises your glucose is not something that should be scary. It's not something you have to worry about. It's just that your body is saying, let's get some blood sugar in the easy to grab area so that we can use that. So anyway, I just want to say like, and then if insulin does go up in that process, it's just part of the flux of trying to keep you in the right level. Did you know? Did you know that if your ketones go too high, your body releases insulin? So around 1.5, as far as I know, ketone level, you're going to release a little bit more insulin because insulin is there to keep ketones in check in part. So it's just a part of a natural cycle in our body and nothing to be worried about. Okay, so I got some questions while I was chatting. Feeling as though a long sleeve sweater was perhaps a bad choice. It's a little toasty. Cindy says, can you speak about metabolic adaptation? Yes, I can. So metabolic adaptation is nothing to be scared of. It's something our body does. The reason that we're the dominant species thus far is that we are very good at adaptation. What does that mean? Well, it means our body is good at taking care of itself, right? So adaptation simply means that your body notices you're in a certain state and then adjusts the reactivity, adjusts what happens, the downstream effects. So an example of adaptation would be that you've been eating very little for a very long period of time, and your body says, there must be a famine, because honestly, our bodies are ancient and our bodies have no idea why under any circumstances we would want to lose weight, right? Because we evolved in a time when food was not readily available at all times. We did not have refrigerators, we did not have grocery stores, and so there were going to be times when there was more and less food. And so it knew that if, wow, okay, I'm sensing a pattern that this person is not getting food. You know what we need to do? We need to turn down their metabolic rate so that they can survive this famine. So even though you want to lose body fat, your body assumes there's a famine. So you are experiencing metabolic adaptation, which is great. It's the reason we're still alive in many cases. However, it means that our metabolic rate will go down in response to loss of food. That's not the only adaptation make. That's one adaptation. The other adaptation is a lot of people, if they overfeed themselves for long periods of time, they don't actually gain as much weight as they should, because as you're eating more and more food, your body actually turns up your metabolic rate. And so it's not like the math equation of like 3,500 calories a pound. It doesn't quite work like that in living humans, because we are adaptive. So there you go. So that's a little, is that what you wanted? If you wanted more detail, please let me know. And so this is why I no longer calorically restrict for long periods of time, because that causes me and my body's brilliant adaptation to become at odds with each other. So I go through cycles, and that's how I've learned to better manage my body's response and my body's adaptation response. Teresa asks, what kind of glucose and ketone meters do I recommend? I use Keto Mojo. And yes, they did have an update. They use a different strip now and a different thing. So you have to order a new meter, but you can contact the company and see if they can give you a discount on a new meter. Mary Ann, seriously struggling here. Sorry to hear that about your struggle. Stress and hormones always get me off track. So when you say hormones get you off track, let's discuss. What do you mean? Do you mean like at different times of the month, you have different responses to food and different desires? I'm just curious what you mean by hormones get you off track. But if you're struggling, are you just struggling to lose weight, or are you struggling to stay on track? Because those are two different things too. So I always think it helps to get specific with yourself and honest with yourself about what's going on. So sometimes I struggle to eat the way that I want to be eating. Like I'll have made a plan to eat a certain way, and I want to eat something else, and I want to put more butter on that, and I want to eat the ribeye, not the sirloin or whatever, right? And I have desires about my food, and they're at odds with my decisions about food, and then I struggle to keep to my I struggle to keep to my decisions, right? That's one thing. The second one is I am keeping to my decisions and I'm not seeing the results I want. Those are two different circumstances and they require two different approaches. So get clear about that. Madison says, reading mixed things about needing surgery under anesthesia while in ketosis. What are my thoughts? Well, I actually don't know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I know what you're talking about, surgery and anesthesia. Are you talking about being more or less susceptible to anesthesia while in ketosis? Or are you talking about something else? That's what I interpret from your question. I certainly think it's always a good idea to inform your doctor and your anesthesiologist of anything specific. I think it can have an impact on hydration levels. Also, you want to have a talk with your hospital and the staff there about what kinds of are they going to give you saline, or is that saline going to include glucose, depending on those kinds of things. But I don't know. I don't actually know, Madison, if there's more or less need for anesthesia. I can say I've had 2 surgeries while keto, and they did not care. The nurses were very helpful, and nobody gave me anything that was bad, but there was no known impact. I do know, like, I know things like apparently people with red hair need more. I think it's more anesthesia, but it doesn't hurt to tell them. But I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Bev says, why do I hear some reputable doctors say we need to take collagen when eating carnivore? I trust Dr. Berry, who believes it isn't necessary. I'm 71, carnivore 5 weeks. So what is collagen? So here's the thing. Muscle meat is very high in certain amino. So do you guys know about amino acids? Okay. So there are 20 amino acids, of which 9 are considered essential amino acids. And an essential amino acid simply means that we don't make these amino acids. The other 11 we do make. And so while it's beneficial to get them in our diet, we could live without them because we make some. Like, we wouldn't die. We wouldn't have a long term. We definitely need to ingest them. And, in the short term, we'd be okay. We wouldn't die. But we need to ingest essential amino acids. Because we don't make them. And so muscle meat is very high in certain amino acids, and it's a little low in collagen. Though it's a little low in the amino acids that are in collagen, like glycine. And so when you add some collagen to your diet when you're eating mostly muscle meats, it can kind of balance, right? Because they're 20 amino acids, right? And so some meats are heavier in these and some are heavier in these. But here's why I would say probably Dr. Berry and many other reputable doctors say you don't need it. If you drink bone broth, if you eat meat on the bone, you're getting collagen. So it's more like if you eat a lot of chicken breast or sirloin with no connective tissue, then potentially you might need to supplement a little bit. But if you're eating meat on the bone, when you eat chicken on the bone. You eat chicken wings where you gnaw on the bones a little bit. You eat short ribs, which come on the bone, and you've got all that really good gelatinous stuff. Eat things like oxtail, really delicious. Lots, like it's like almost all collagen, right? Don't quote me on that. A lot of collagen. You drink bone broth, tons of collagen. So if you're doing those kinds of things, you really don't need to add some powder to your food. No, you don't need to. Kelly says, hi from Texas. Hello, Texas. Love your Q&A. Thank you, Kelly. My doctor won't prescribe natural desiccated thyroid. She prescribed compounded T4. What the heck does that? Make sure it's true T4. He probably means desiccated T4. I would certainly think a compound. Well, why is she? So she's doing a compounded T4. Is she doing a compounded T4 and T3? Because one of the issues that we run into with Hashimoto's or any hypothyroidism is a lot of people are not converting T4 to T3 well. And so that's an issue. So if you're you should always be testing both your free T4 and your free T3 and your reverse T3 whenever you get your thyroid numbers tested. Because if you're just taking T4, that does not also include T3. So a desiccated thyroid is both. And you're having trouble converting T4 to T3. It's like water everywhere and not a drop to drink. I can keep pouring T4 on you, but if you're not converting T4 to T3, and T3 is the active form that we actually use, then that's a problem. So you also always want to check on those measurements and how you're feeling. Kevin mentions that he has the Fora 6 and he likes that keto meter. Keto Coach, which is now called Bio Coach, they changed their name, also has a ketone meter, but it's not a dual meter. It's just ketones. All right, hold on. Scrolling. Interesting. Kelly says, pharmacy told me compounded T4 is made from honeysuckle. Well, if you've been feeling really good, Kelly, I'm saying that that's all right. I have missed something. Salome says, what's the best way to recover from ops? Oh, from an oops. I cheated a lot. So I would say eat, don't fast. I think that's terrible advice some people give. Don't be highly restrictive. For a couple of days, do bacon, butter, eggs, meat. Eat 2 to 3 times a day. Keep the carbs as low as you possibly can. Don't eat any processed carbs, but don't eat fruit even. Don't even eat berries. A few leafy greens are fine, but keep it mostly meat, protein, and fat. Be satiated. Let yourself recover from your carb cravings and then get back to it. Hey, Indonesia. I have a comment that is totally unrelated to keto, skipping over that one. Keto you can too says, I'm guessing because maybe most doctors don't believe you will include cartilage from animals in your diet. Yeah, exactly. Cindy says, I've screwed up my metabolism by calorically restricting. What can I do? Reverse diet, Cindy. So this is what I had to do for a year. Very slowly increase your caloric intake from carbs. Not from carbs, from fat and protein, not from carbs. So look at what you're eating now, get a baseline. If you're eating, 50 grams of fat and 50 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, go up 10%, then go up, then stay there for a little bit, like a week or so, go up another 10%. Just keep bumping that number up just a little bit, the protein and the fat, until you hit that ceiling. You're just pushing that envelope. Hang out there so when you start to see some weight gain, hang out there for a while. Don't go any higher. Then try bumping up again. So over a long period of time, just keep increasing how much you're eating in a very controlled and limited manner. And at the end of that period, you'll have bumped up the amount that you're eating. During that time, it's great to focus on getting in lots of activity, increasing your activity, increasing your exercise, taking up weight training if you haven't already, resistance training, focusing on all those things and not expecting the scale to go down, but looking to get stronger, looking to get better sleep, looking to deal with some stress issues, looking to move your body more, and taking your attention off of trying to lose weight and putting your attention on trying to get healthier. Doing that reverse for 6 months to a year can be a wondrous thing. People often say, well, that seems like a really long time, but it's a enjoyable time versus bashing your head into the wall for 6 months, which I've done before. So Kelly says, I have Hashis. I see. Doctor, I might be rereading your question. Doctor prescribed compounded T4. Yeah, I did read your question already. So we're jumping around. Sorry about that. Nancy says, after my recent cancer surgery, when my first bag of saline was without glucose, then the nurse started hanging bags with glucose. I was upset when I realized it, but no terrible effects. Yeah, don't even stress if somebody gives you a little bit of glucose. It's not much. They're They're looking to give you glucose to keep your blood sugar stable. They're not jacking your blood sugar through the roof. You will be fine. If you're fat adapted when you go in, you're not going to be unfat adapted when you come out of the hospital. Barbara says, do you think you could take a day break from keto every 2 weeks, eating a regular amount of carbs, and then just start over? Would that reset everything or just mess everything up? I think that it's generally a terrible idea. Could you, so it kind, and it depends on the circumstance. So, if you're weight stable, no longer trying to lose weight, you're just eating keto to be in good health, and you think it's a really good way to live, for that person, there'll be less negative impact than for a person who's trying to be in a weight loss phase. If you're trying to lose weight while you're doing that, you're going to really confuse your body. That's not to say that every once in a while we can't have a few more carbs or, some extra salad or whatever. But if you're talking about going back to a regular amount of carbs, it's like 200 grams of carbs, I just don't think anybody should be eating like that ever, to be perfectly honest. But if you're talking about every couple of weeks, I want a giant salad the size of my head, well, that's totally different and probably okay. So when you say, if you think you're going to get a better result from doing that, I would say no. Stop listening to the people who are telling you that's true. Sometimes I accidentally put things on the screen. I apologize. Hazel says, hi, Kim, is it important to let our insulin go up in order for minerals to enter our cells while we're in ketosis all the time? We're not in a catabolic state all the time in ketosis. So my carbs, no. Your minerals can enter your cells even in a low insulin state. You're good to go. You do not need to raise your insulin to do so. Now, if you're trying to put on a significant amount of muscle mass, having occasional rises in insulin is probably just a fine thing to be doing. But to do that, you can just eat a very, very high protein meal. And so you don't have to worry about it. Monica says, so for weight loss, what do you think about calories in the beginning or just keeping carbs low? Hold on. I need a refresher moment. I think when you first start keto, just keep carbs low. I think that when you first start keto, it's hard enough. It's hard enough to focus on keeping carbs low. And I would just start with keeping carbs low. And if you focus on keeping carbs low and eating a good amount of fat and protein, so you're satiated and you feel good, you're doing several things at once. The first of which is, for most people, you're just ramping up the food quality quite a bit, right? If you're focused on keeping those total carbs very low, you're going to be way reducing the amount of processed food you eat. You're going to be sticking to whole, real foods. It's important. Don't eat a lot of keto junk food at the beginning. Forever. But whole, real foods. So your quality of diet is going to go up. You're going to be feeling better. You're going to be eating better. You're going to be more satiated. Your insulin's going to be going down. All sorts of good things are going to be happening. Most people will naturally, spontaneously start eating less at that point. So for a lot of people, simply switching to a clean, I don't love that term, but like a whole foods based, healthy ketogenic diet, low carb diet, they will inadvertently do a lot of good things right and help their body a lot. And so that may be enough for a lot of people. So start there. From there, if you go months and months and things aren't working the way that you want them to, then we can tweak. But for beginners, definitely just the carbs will take care of a lot of things. Kathy made the chicken liver pate. Thank you so much. I got that recipe from Julie Fox McClure. Well, I tinkered. I made it my own, right? But I got the original recipe from Julie Fox McClure at Fox Hill Kitchens, who make delicious bagels. Nancy says, when do you just drink bone broth instead of meat? I never drink bone broth instead of meat. I always eat meat, but I use bone broth in things. Roxana says, is hamburger potentially the better choice because it contains connective tissues? Maybe. It's a good thought. Hamburger does often also include heart, which is nice. So I'm pro hamburger. All right. Kelly says only T4, had all the numbers tested. She wouldn't describe NDT, said she will make the Hashimoto's flare up. I disagree with her significantly, but unless you're planning on getting a new doctor, you kind of have to work with what she's willing to do. If you're feeling good, that's ultimately what really matters. Ellie says that she wasn't getting enough protein and she was getting maybe half of what she needs. Well, I'm so glad that you learned and grew. We all do it. I used to eat way too little protein too. Tracy says, hi from Connecticut, keto since 2018, even carnivore, never gotten better than 0.9 for ketones. I want ketones for my chemo brain. So 0.9 is pretty good. But if you're looking to bump up the ketones beyond that, try a little MCT oil. Paula says, I've been keto carnivore for 4 years. I don't drink bone broth of any kind. Haven't had any issues. Doesn't agree with me. Absolutely. We all have to do what works for us. Tracy says, a giant salad the size of my head sounds like a Ted Namanism. It's actually a Marxinism. He calls it, oh, is it Mark? No, it might be Mark Hyman. One of those people talks about his big ass salad. I think it's Sisson, big ass salad. Oh yeah. Somebody else said a salad the size of my head, and it stuck in my head. But you know those big salad bowls like that. I have to cross my legs, but I move the chair instead. Julia says, are you still doing coaching classes? Yes, my coaching class is called Keto Unstuck. I work with people who are stuck. And the next one is coming up. I know Cindy, I know it's chirping. It's on my list of things to do tonight. It just started this afternoon. I didn't have time to pull out the batteries and the step ladder and that kind of thing. I am aware. We will fix it today. Also, we wouldn't be able to sleep with the chirping. All right, let's go to, you like my new hair polo. Thank you. It's short. All right. So Juliet asked about my coaching classes. Yes. Keto Unstuck is reopening soon. I'm going to open it in September for the next round, and it's going to be super fun for people to take charge in. Take part in, although you will take charge. All right. Hey, Ada, glad that you're here joining me. And yeah, so, I think we can look at a variety of things in our lives to make our life work better. And how you start keto isn't necessarily how you're going to continue to keto. We're all going to have different experiences. So it's good that we learn. So earlier somebody asked about, at the beginning of keto, do I need to count calories? And I think, at the beginning of keto, it's good to track just to get a handle on what you're doing, how much you're eating, what you can tweak and twist and turn. But for the most part, when you're new, focusing on quality of foods and carbs being low. And then over time, that can all shift and you can learn. Jean says, hi, Kim. I've been using a scale and meal tracking. There you go. And just realized how poorly I was following keto. It can creep up on you. It can totally the carb creep can creep up on you, how you're eating, how much of this, how much of that, what's going on, the quality of your food. Absolutely. Ada says, Keto Unstuck is a great class. Super. Thank you, Ada. I learned a lot, been doing keto since November 2017. Barbara says, since I started doing keto a month ago, I've been drinking 2 zero sodas a day. Right now, it feels impossible to eat dinner without it. Is zero soda that bad? No. I'm going to say it that way. So what I usually say is sometimes we use crutches. What I think Cyrus also talks about, does he use the word crutch? Bridge? He uses the word bridge. I think some of us use various crutches. I like crutches to help us along when it feels like we couldn't make it without them, right? And so if diet soda is your crutch right now, and it allows everything else to get optimized while you're still hang on to your diet sodas, and then one day you'll find that you can walk just fine without those crutches and you can drop them then. But if it's freaking you out to drop them now, I don't think that diet soda is going to be the end of the world and is going to, I'll just put it this way. Like, I don't think diet soda, like the fact that you can't stop drinking diet soda is a good reason for you to start eating carbs, right? I mean, that's essentially what we're saying here. If I can't stop drinking my diet soda, should I go back to eating a bunch of carbs for dinner? Like, no, just keep eating the no carbs and have your soda. And one day you will likely find that you are no longer craving the soda. So I had the experience that when I first started keto, I was uh, I was a Diet Coke addict. I've been a Diet Coke addict my whole life. And when I started keto, I continued to drink Diet Coke. And when I then a couple months, I don't remember exactly how long, but it was several months into keto, I was like, I wonder what life would be like without these. And I let them go. And now when I have a Diet Coke every once in a while, more times than not, I don't enjoy the drinking of the Diet Coke. It either gives me a headache or I don't feel great or the taste is weird. I loved them so much and now the taste is weird. I do have Zevia and I like that still. So, but anyway, the taste of Diet Coke is weird to me now, which is weird as a thought because it used to be like water. Anyway, Roxanne says, I make my own soda with SodaStream, add 2 packets of True Lemon, add a squirt electrolytes, and 15 drops of monk fruit. That is a lot of monk fruit. But I've realized recently from brand to brand, it can really switch. Some monk fruit brands are much sweeter than others. Yeah, Barbara, thank you. I appreciate that you feel better. It doesn't have to be violent. I say that. That sounds like a weird thing to say, but what I mean is you can be gentle with yourself. You can change what you can change. Never give up because you aren't 100%. 97% is certainly better than 0%, right? Just do what you can and eventually things will fall away. Really, honestly, from a scientific perspective, they really haven't found that diet sodas are all that big a deal. Just going to say there's a lot of anecdotes, but there's not a lot of science behind it. So if it works for you, keep doing it until it isn't working for you anymore. But yeah, I also think experiment with finding flavored sparkling waters that you like. I do Zevia soda and grapefruit or peach sparkling water mixed together. So it's a little bit sweet, but it's not too sweet. You'll find your drink. There's also some great iced teas out there, either peppermint iced tea or there's a sweet and spicy black tea. They also have a non-caffeinated one apparently from Good Earth. Those are good. They're sweet. I always think there's sweetener in it, but I've been assured there's not, but they're sweet. So there are different beverages you can start to experiment with. Salome says, what could possibly make you not able to feel your entire body? Sounds neurological or something, but I have no idea. None whatsoever. Kelly says, by the way, with my Hashimoto's carnivore without dairy, no nuts, no seeds, no nightshades, no gluten. Wow, that is intense. Good job, Kelly. Kelly is on it. That's a lot to give up, but I hope that you're enjoying your mostly meat diet. But a ribeye is pretty awesome. Paolo says, Paola, you have to say your name slowly with a sort of Italian. Love Zevia with flavored sparkling water. Yes, it's my favorite. It's so funny. It is so funny being an ex-Diet Coke addict I'm constantly like, the other day I was on a road trip, right? I went down to San Diego. I got a McDonald's bunless burger on the road trip and I ordered a Diet Coke and I drank like a quarter of it. And I was like, this is unfortunate. This doesn't taste good. I felt like I was drinking dishwater. Like, this isn't very tasty. I threw it away. That was weird to me. It's like you don't even know yourself anymore on keto long enough. Your tastes really do switch up. I still love sweet things. Not gonna lie. I put sweetener in my coffee. But now I drink black coffee with sweetener sometimes. I don't even know who that lady is. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, but yeah. You gotta go with it as your tastes change. You gotta live another day. I don't have a problem with sweeteners. I don't think they're a problem for a lot of people if they're the right sweeteners. I certainly get bloating with erythritol, but it doesn't seem to contribute to any long-term issues other than a little bit of bloat. But then there are other people who, when they have sweet things, their cravings are like through the roof and they can't take it. And that's good to know. You need to know your triggers. Sandra says, I let go of a lot of things in my life. I'm not let go of my diet root beer. I quit smoking 24 years ago. I'm drinking it. You do. You do you. Oh, you guys, Nancy is made this amazing hard-boiled egg chocolate pudding. She let me have a bite of it when I saw her. It's Maria Emmerich's recipe, but Nancy did a phenomenal job. Nancy's a really great cook. She makes great things, and it was delicious. Barbara says, any difference between Coke Zero and Diet Coke? If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I looked into it, but Coke Zero is made with ACE K, which is acetylsame potassium, and it was made with sucralose at one point, but it's also been made with aspartame. I don't know which one they're using these days. But Coke Zero does include ACE K, is what people call it, but it's acetylsame potassium, and which is an additive sweetener. It's a sweetener they add. They never use it by itself, but they'll use it in conjunction with other sweeteners and diet sodas. Can't cook with it. And Diet Coke does not have the acetylsame potassium, the ACE K. And I know early on I was very anti-ACE K because ACE K is on the list of sweeteners that may have some insulin impact, according to Dr. Nally. I think so. But I've always just been a Diet Coke girl. It wasn't because I was trying to avoid the ACE K, but that if you want to take that into account. Kelly says, absolutely love beef, bacon, seafood, eggs. Accidentally ate cheese yesterday and it was rough. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Nancy forgot to give me my almond cookies. Well, yeah, I got to get those. Now there's a little sun. It's getting me here. Sheila says, hi from Texas. What kind of gadget do you use to sear your steaks? Bought grass-fed, grass-finished cow. Need help tweaking. Oh, thank you so much, Sheila. I use a hot pan. That's what I use. So I have a hot pan, either a cast iron or we have something called a scan pan, which is like a ceramic pan that then has some non-stick on it. I get my pan very, very hot. Then I apply the steak to the very, very hot pan, and it puts a really nice, just so sear on that pan. High heat is the only thing that will properly sear a steak. So I'll do high heat, not so high that I'm like destroying the pan, but pretty high heat. If it's a fatty steak, I won't use any oil. If it's a lean steak, I might do just like a teaspoon of bacon grease in the pan. I salt and pepper the steak, and then get the pan real hot. Pan hot first, fat in the pan, then the steak in the pan. Leave it side down for a good 2 to 3 minutes to get a nice dark sear on it. Flip it, do the same thing for the other side. Use my little tongs to hold it so I get a sear on the side. And then depending on the thickness of the steak, that may be enough. But if not, I'll turn it back on its sides and flip it back and forth every other minute or so until it's cooked to the way that I like it cooked through. So that's how I do my steak. Now, if it's a really thick piece of steak, I'll do that same sear on both sides and I'll throw the pan in my oven to finish cooking it through. But I like my steaks pretty rare, so mostly the outside seared is what I'm looking for. And that's it. It's not a fancy gadget. It's a good pan and some high heat. Kelly says cast iron skillet in the oven for 10 to Oh, wow. So Kelly heats the heck out of her cast iron skillet in the oven before she adds the steak. So it basically, there are several methods, but basically the magic for a good sear, screaming hot pan is the magic for a good sear. And then don't flip it too fast. Leave it down until you get a nice char. And then put it on the other side. Patrice says, I heard if I don't eat enough, it can keep me from losing weight. This is true. So, it doesn't work. People get all pissy at me, not at me alone, but, it's not that eating too little will cause you to gain weight. It's that eating too little for too long allows your metabolism to assume that you're in a famine, to turn down your metabolic rate. A lower metabolic rate means you maintain your weight at a lower caloric intake. So you've been eating not enough for a long period of time. Your body assumes you're in a famine. You're going to keep eating not enough. You're going to keep, and then your body's going to make that your new normal. Now you eat a little bit more than you're not enough. And by the way, when you're eating not enough for a long period of time, you have nutrient deficiencies because eating is how we get all of our nutrients. So if you're not eating enough, you have nutrient deficiencies. You're malnourished. It sucks. Yes, you can be overweight and malnourished. Absolutely. So you're malnourished, you're not eating enough, your systems are shutting down, you're not as active, your body doesn't want to move as much. They've found that actually when people are under eating for long periods of time, they blink less, they fidget less, they move less, they want to do less, they're less active, they are slower. All of these things are going to mean that your metabolic rate is going to continue to go down. It's just bad news bears. So I recommend everybody experience eating sufficient quantities of food for periods of time in their life. Crazy but true. Chronic under eating is really, really bad for us. So try a period where you're like, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to optimize my health. I'm going to eat more. Just do it slowly. Start where you're at. Add a little more food, then a little more food, then a little more food, then a little more food. You want to see where that top range is. How much food can I add before I start to gain any weight? You want to hit that ceiling. And then you want to do things like exercise, not cardio. I mean, go for walks, do things that feel good, move your body, get in 10,000 steps. You don't have to hit the gym cardio machines. Lift weights, lift heavy things. That's going to help increase your metabolic rate. So sleep better. That's going to help. Spend time with friends. That's going to help. Crazy, 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 right? So live a better quality of life. Take a break from dieting. Eat more. Nourish your body, get your nutrients in line, get healthy. Then if you have body fat to lose, you can look at lowering your intake again in the future for a brief period of time, not for an endless period of time. Barbara says, you've been so helpful specifically for someone in the early stages of keto like me. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Barbara. I'm so glad that I could help. I've been there. And I remember it. It was not easy. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. What other questions do people have? When I was in San Diego, we were in a little room where all the vendors were to talk to people between the conference periods. And they had the air conditioner cranked so cold. And I was talking a lot. And my voice still hasn't quite recovered. Anyway, I've got a podcast coming out tomorrow with Lisa Brownstein, who was there in San Diego with me. And so that's going to be super fun. She's lost over 200 pounds. She's an actress. She was in Shallow Hal, some great movies. And she went from being sort of the fat girl in movies to wanting to lose weight and get her health in line. So it's a good one. It's like just us having a chat. Again, I am not a traditional formal interviewer at all. It's more chatty chat. But that's coming out tomorrow. Keto Life Support Podcast. Amy says, what are my thoughts on powdered whey for protein? So that's a good question. Whole food proteins that come in animal meat products are always superior to, hey, there's Lisa. Speak of the devil and the devil appears. What's my thought? So in terms of powdered whey, it's inferior to eating meat. I'll put it that way. When we use things like powdered whey, so I'm trying to get out of the weird light here. When we use things like powdered whey, we lose the thermic effect of food. Now, if you're recovering from surgery and you need really good quality protein that's going to be absorbed fast, or you've got somebody who's looking to build a lot of muscle, or, there are certainly circumstances in which whey protein is top notch and what I would recommend. But if you're just a healthy person trying to optimize your health and lose body fat and be healthy, for the most part, I would say eat whole foods. But I'm not against, not against whey protein use. I think there's a place for it, but for the most part, eat whole foods. If I don't know if you have a more specific question than that, but so when they take protein, when they make protein powder, they take the milk proteins. So they take the proteins from milks and they take the whey, which is, so if you had milk solids, milk protein concentrate, so that's what comes from the milk. You've got, it's 20% whey and 80% casein protein. Some people are sensitive to casein, some people are sensitive to whey. Whey protein is absorbed very fast, and casein protein is absorbed much more slowly. So the reason that a lot of bodybuilders like whey protein is it's absorbed very fast. And that means that if you're in a post-workout kind of state, or if your body needs more protein, you're going to absorb that protein quickly. You're going to get better muscle protein synthesis from it. And that's beneficial in certain circumstances. For other people that don't need that spike of protein, we all need protein, but we don't need that fast, the speed is not important. That can cause a little more insulin release than, say, the casein protein, which is absorbed more slowly. Something that's absorbed fast has more of an insulin response than something that's absorbed slowly. So different strokes for different folks. And so I'm not against it, but I would want somebody who was planning to use it to be educated on why they're using it and where are the best scenarios to use it. That being said, if you have like a recipe with a little bit of whey protein powder in it, I don't think it's the end of the world, because there's so many things balancing it, right? There's what one person would drink in a protein shake in an entire cake, right? It's a very small amount that each serving is going to be. I don't really have an issue in those circumstances. If you're talking about drinking a whey shake, then that's more concentrated, and you have to look at what is the effect on me going to be. In general, there are circumstances, as I said, in which it might be a good thing, but most circumstances, I would say, eat a steak. Diana says, in my 3rd week of carnivore, gave up heavy whipping cream in my coffee. I will pray for you. It was a good decision. Black coffee is blah. Would adding a little monk fruit be harmful? This light is weird. I put monk fruit in my coffee. However, I will say, from a strict carnivore perspective, monk fruit is not carnivore. So that being said, you do what works for you. You can try it. Try putting a little monk fruit in your coffee. Does it make you hungrier? Are you eating more over the course of the day? Do you crave different foods when you do that? Are you seeing the success you want? There you go. Salome says, thank you, Kim. Ken says to do a 24 to 48-hour fast if you have cheated. I disagree with Ken, but he has a very different brain than I do. Me, if I cheated and then I try to fast, I feel like that fasting is punishment, and it will make me more likely to be rebellious after the fact. That being said, I don't disagree for him. It works for him. Great for him. Doesn't work for me. Different strokes, different folks, different perspectives. How much protein do I need? So generally speaking, the amount of protein that I would suggest someone eat in general is to take a simple way, take your goal weight. So if you're 150, that would be 150 grams of protein. But as long as you get 3/4 of the way there, I'm happy. So 75%. So 0.75 times 150. That math is hard, but it's like one. So as long as you get 75% of your total goal weight in grams of protein, I'm very happy about it. The very minimal, if you ask Finney and Bullock, they'd say it's 1.5 grams per kilogram of where's my phone? Kilogram. Let me do the conversion for you. 1.5 divided by, this is how you do it, 1.5 divided by 2.2. Oh, no, that's not right. No, I can't. 1.5 divided by 2.2. Yeah, 0.68. So that's 7.75 will get you there, right? So 0.68 grams per pound of reference body weight, which is pretty close to what one would say is their goal weight, one would hope, is sort of the minimal amount of protein one would get. You can go up from there. Salome, was it? No, it wasn't Salome. Who said it? Now I have to look back. Diana, egg yolks in your coffee. Nisha's doing it, and I've done it. It's actually surprisingly delicious, just as a carnivore option. Not that coffee is carnivore, just saying. Salome said, is salad bad? Salad is not bad. I'm a big fan of salad. Deb, excellent talk tonight. Thank you. Appreciate that. Trying to avoid the sun here. Kelly says she does coconut oil and salt in her coffee. It frosts up nicely. Awesome. Barbara says the worst thing for me was to give up my cream. I tried a creamer. Okay. I tried heavy cream, coconut milk. Everything tastes terrible. I've been surviving without coffee for a month now. Oh, I'm sorry. But by now you're over the coffee problem. So there you go. Michelle asked, how many ounces of protein would that be? It would depend. So something like pork belly is going to have, because it has so much fat in it, the ounces of that meat to get the amount of protein is very different than sirloin. But an average, which is an average, not very specific, is an ounce of protein is about 7 grams. I'm sorry, an ounce of meat is around 7 grams of protein. As I said, some are more, some are less, but around. So if you were trying to hit, so let's say I was a 5'8" woman. Is that right? 8 times? No, a 5'10" woman, 5'10", then my reference body weight would be about 150. So if I was 5'10" and 150, then I would be aiming for 150 grams of protein, with eating no less than around 110 grams of protein. And if I was trying to get that in average ounces, so 1 divided by 7, that's about a pound of meat. But as I said, that can vary from meat to meat. In chicken, it's less. In ribeye, it's more. So what I would recommend to do is to look up the meat that you're eating. You can use something like Chronometer or Google and figure out exactly what the macros are for that meat and go from there. All right, guys, it is 6 o'clock, so I want everybody to have a fabulous evening. I'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.